Liberalism nowadays refers mostly to social liberalism, which favors government policy as a means of creating a more equal society.
Yeah, more equal in the sense of the phrase, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others.
This is in contrast to John Locke with their classical liberalism, which was also hijacked by right-wingers.
Whoa, okay, hold the fucking phone. Sargon is right-wing? So, I hear this a lot from far-left, libertarian socialist, anarcho-communist types like Tom Avella, that Sargon is somehow the leader of a community called the Skeptic Community, and that we're all a bunch of right-wingers according to them. Let me just preface this by pointing out that Sargon and I don't really have a lot of things in common. The main common ground we share is that we're both against SJWs, we both value individual rights and liberties such as free speech, meritocracy, and due process, all classical liberal principles, and that we're both YouTubers. I think we could probably have a civil conversation about our differences, but the similarities mostly end there. In my case, I consider myself right-leaning, and most people I've ever had a political discussion with identify me as right-wing to some degree. On most issues, Sargon seems to identify more with the left, and he and the majority of his subscribers identify themselves as left libertarian. In spite of all this, both Sargon and myself have associated ourselves with the term classical liberal, in part because classical liberalism encompasses a wide range of ideas based on core principles which allow for that wide range. So I'm inclined to believe that if you, Tom Avella, think classical liberalism has been co-opted by the right wing, you're probably such an ideologue that you simply have a problem with the core principles themselves. You're the sort of person who thinks that labels like fascist can only apply to right-wingers. I could comfortably end this video here if I wanted to, but let's have some fun, shall we?
Liberal, sometimes progressive, is often used as a more traditional, conservative buzzword that's been worked into the titles of books written by many a published Fox News pundit and former Breitbart writer.
So a moment ago you used the word hijacking, and I get the sense that that's what you're doing right now. You don't like the original principles of classical liberalism, and so you're trying to associate the word with principles that are more suited to your ideological perspective, like feminism, equality of outcome, social justice, decolonization, buzzwords that can be redefined at a moment's notice to suit the context you need them for. For the word liberal to be used interchangeably with the word progressive as it so often is kind of makes me want to puke, but alternatively, I also sort of enjoy using it as a thinly veiled sarcastic jibe at the incoherence of these so-called progressive ideas. The only reason someone such as yourself would use the terms progressive and liberal at all is because they sound nice, such that you can set up a dichotomy of false and unearned moral superiority, in which liberals are the Jedi and conservatives are the Sith. It's Saturday morning cartoon bullshit. Essentially, you're saying that anyone to the right of you, a far leftist, is right-wing.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
According to these people, liberals are pure evil, pushing a homosexual, Islamist, atheist agenda wherever they go.
Could this be due to the fact that progressive far-left politics have in turn adapted and polluted these things and co-opted them as their own in order to speak for people who aren't progressives or leftists? I mean, I have conservative gay friends, and in the course of my friendship with them, it's become abundantly clear that they don't feel represented by the LGBT movement as progressives define it. Or to use myself as another example, I'm technically an atheist, but I don't feel represented by someone like, say, The Amazing Atheist, because his politics are totally different from mine. Or for yet another example, Fraulein is an engineering student, and according to her, the only people who have ever condescended to her in the course of her studies were feminists who were trying to chastise her for not identifying as one of them. And in the context of America, it's not like these exceptions to the politically correct narrative are really uncommon. We're extremely politically polarized right now. I mean, just look at the disingenuity with which you're using this terminology. Look at this statement that I've paused on. You, Tom Avella, have described yourself in many of your other videos as a goddamned anarchist libertarian socialist, which is just about the pukiest, most contradictory leftist gibberish imaginable. You're not a moderate, not even a little bit. And to characterize yourself as such while appropriating words like liberal and progressive to describe anarcho-fucking communism is extremely disingenuous. And this is why people are getting sick of politics like yours, because you can't even be honest about what you stand for. It's like face-melting level dishonesty.
fucking disgusting. It amounts to little more than fear-mongering at the end of the day. It's one of those words where you can tell how the speaker feels about it based on how they say it. Like, you know, some people are just,
I am a liberal.
and other people are like,
Dear liberal college kids, stop trying to censor people.
Do I even need to say anything at this point? The projection is fucking amazing. It really is. So why don't I just circle back to the whole community judgment thing? Jeff Holiday recently took on the One Janitor on the concept of the skeptic community. Janitor was trying to make a value judgment about the entire collection of so-called anti-SJWs and skeptics as though we're all part of one group, and Jeff had this to say in his video.
The One Janitor has fallen into the same basic trap that so many other people do when they start talking about YouTube, and they think this is a community. There's a community of skeptics, a community of anti-SJW people, a community of anti-feminists. There's a community for people who believe only specific sideline things, blah 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 blah. And it's usually not the fucking case. These fucking people are my friends. These are my friends. My friends on YouTube, I talk to them all the fucking time, I do videos with them, I hang out with them. We send stupid fucking Snapchats to each other. But does that mean that I am part of some community with them? Fuck no. Fuck no. Fuck no. Fuck no. I absolutely reject the idea of a fucking community. I don't understand. I've talked about this with people like Shoe on Head. This whole idea of this social movement, this like gathering of people, promotes one basic fucking thing, and that is dogmatic, principled following, adherence to a structure, or castigation. I'm not interested in that. I don't give a fuck. There is no fucking reason that anybody needs a community for atheists. That's something Steve Shives parrots all the fucking time. Our community. We need to police our community. Fuck you. Fuck you, Steve Shives. And fuck you, anybody who says we need a goddamn community. Fuck that. That's fucking stupid. There's no reason for it.
And you know what? I completely agree with Jeff. The idea of a community is stupid. You remember what I was saying at the beginning about far left bias turning people like Sargon into so-called right-wingers? Well, even amongst so-called rational skeptics, there's still other kinds of biases held by other people or subgroups of people. One person with one set of biases, like Tom Avella, looks at Sargon and sees a scary right-winger, and another person with another set of biases looks at Sargon and sees a Marxist. Now, let me make it clear, I like Dave's content. I like Sargon and Dave, but if there's anything about this so-called community that proves it's not a community, it's the fact that you can't even play devil's advocate for anything anymore, which is what Sargon was doing. Forget about genuinely having the wrong opinion for someone's taste. Even amongst those of us who recognize that this isn't a community, there are still cliques within this sphere of discussion that form. There's still pockets of ideological purity practiced by certain people or certain groups of people who tend to associate with each other. This is why it's not a unified community. I mean, I guess you could technically say that it's a community in some sense, but if you want to say that, then it's a pretty shitty community, isn't it? I recently experienced this sort of thing myself in an extended conversation about Islam in Europe with a certain autistic dinosaur. Despite repeat attempts to explain my position over the course of what amounts to an essay and a couple hours of streaming, certain people in this community of rational skeptics still see fit to distill my position down to blindly supporting Trump, saying fuck free speech, and wanting to ban Muslims. It's true that I support Trump, but these people in particular have heard me offer criticism of him more than a couple of times. And as for not caring about free speech or simply wanting to ban Muslims, well, I never said that. Ever. I'm not going to go over it again in this video, but if you're interested in what I wrote about it or the stream, both are linked in the description. Have fun. And in the course of this conversation, it became painfully obvious to me that Teal'c was right. No, not about the whole intellectual rigor versus ponage thing. I am talking about the prediction that this community would devolve into drama and slap fights and ideological posturing. I even received all of the trademark condemnations that Teal'c was talking about. You sound just like an SJW, you're being a collectivist, etc. Rational skepticism, guys. Anyone subscribed to me is likely a subscriber of most of the other channels that I've mentioned in this video, and you need to keep something in mind. We're all just people on the internet. That's it. Some of us agree and some of us don't. Some of us like each other and some of us don't. I think I can speak for everyone when I say that we all appreciate that you watch our content, but Don't worship us. We're not your senpais. We're not better than you. At most, human beings can attempt to think skeptically. We can give it our best shot. But if we, as YouTubers or as viewers of these YouTubers, deserve any credit at all, at least some of us are trying to do that. But everybody has some kind of bias, and if you say you don't, you're full of shit. Hashtag Teal'dir was right. If you enjoy my content, consider making a donation. If you can't or don't want to donate, that's okay. You can still help me out by liking and sharing this video. Here are some other videos I think you'll enjoy, and thanks for watching.